Hey, Puppy Trades! I hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day week. Hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day week. You know, my unusual stock options volume video, I said if it got 25 likes on YouTube, I'd make it a weekly occurrence. We didn't get it. We got it on X. We got it on X, but not on YouTube, man. You know why? Because YouTube is connected to your Gmail accounts, right? Your buddies know about your YouTube accounts, Not your ex accounts. I get it. I'm saying crazy stuff. And let me just tell you something. I want this to be crazy. I do. I'm not a gun nut. I'm not a gun guy. I don't own any weapons. I don't own any weapons. I I grew up in a state that's called a sunny state. They got sunny laws there. It means there's no gun laws there. My friends had closets full of all types of weapons, completely legal. Uzis, AK-47s, all types of stuff. And I always thought it was weird. I thought it was a fetish. I thought it was kind of like they were compensating for not having a big stick, if you know what I mean. I thought it was kind of whack. But I do agree, and I understand why the Second Amendment is so necessary in this country still to this day. Our president says that it's stupid because the government has F-16s, they got F-15s, they got fighter jets, is what he says. So we don't need a Second Amendment. Well, we had this thing called a pandemic, or whatever, a virus. You guys know we all have our opinions on that, and we've decided it. We saw what happened to the people who told their government authorities, hey, we actually kind of want to wait the standard process for how long we're supposed to wait for this specific type of medication that we have no recourse for if it hurts us to be developed. And that's 5 years. That's about 5 years. 3 years, absolute minimum. We saw what happened to the citizens of those countries when they don't have a Second Amendment. In China, in Australia, in New Zealand, even in England, even in Canada. Those countries, if you study global international business supply chain, all those countries are grouped together in colleges and business courses all across the world for having an extremely similar type of government. The types of government of Canada, New Zealand, the United States of America, and the UK, and not China, but those four countries, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and the UK and America, have extremely similar political structures. You know what they don't have? There's one thing that makes America different. We have a Second Amendment. We don't all have to own weapons, but some of us can. And for some reason, Canada, New Zealand, China, we all knew it was good, but how different was it really from what happened in China and New Zealand? It wasn't that different. Anyway, we see what happens in government countries where we don't have a Second Amendment. And you know what? These people know it. They're proud of it. And I got something in the mail today. They want me to go vote for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And they proudly say they want to ban assault weapons. Ban them. Every single weapon is an assault weapon. All right, your fists are an assault weapon. They got knife attacks in Ireland and stabbing attacks, mass stabbings. Everything's an assault weapon. And you know what? An AR-15 doesn't stand for assault rifle. Did you know that? That's probably an important thing to know. AR-15 doesn't stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle. Why is it that every single shooting just so happens they use an AR-15? Every single one of them. Even though just about every single hunting gun that's probably cheaper and more available is just as deadly. Most of the hunting guns that are not controversial at all are just as deadly as AR-15s, which are not called assault rifle 15s. They're called Armalite rifles. So they specifically have all these people use the exact same weapon so they can mind control you and lie to you and think you want to ban an assault rifle that's not even called an assault rifle. It's called an Armalite rifle. It's just a random gun. And they've already tricked you into thinking that's what you want to ban. These people are sick. And they're moving fast. These people are moving fast. Last week, I posted a YouTube video about Unusual Options Volume a week ago, 7 days ago, about Smith & Wesson brands and how a $444,000 strangle that was over 774% Unusual Options volume was purchased on Smith & Wesson brand that expired in September. Pointed that out. And all these firearm stocks look like they're ready to explode. Smith & Wesson brands. And obviously, this is crazy. This is crazy stuff. So obviously, it's not investment advice because it's crazy. Remember? It's crazy. Gabbing up in after hours. They probably just took our liberties while I'm making this damn video. Massive strangle bought on Smith & Wesson brands. Not a coincidence. 774% Unusual Options volume. So I'm going to give my first piece of usefulness in this video. If you are a police officer, you work for law enforcement, or you actually want to stop future things that happen at Kansas City, you know what I'm talking about, the Chiefs parade. I don't even know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube. This is the first thing I would do if I was running a police department. I would go to barchart.com. I would go to Unusual Options Volume and I would click on it. Okay? If I see a firearm stock, RGR, Ruger, AOUT, Academy Sports and Outdoors, SWBI, Smith & Wesson brands, or POWW, Ammo Inc., that's not a war stock. Maybe it is. Who knows what maybe it is. Maybe that's a World War III stock. That's a firearm stock. It's kind of messed up to say, but in the stock market community, when these events happen, people tend to look for these particular stocks to have large moves, and usually you see them on the strangle screener and the straddle screener and these screeners like this often. So what I said in that video last week, my favorite screen, Unusual Options Volume, have the put to call ratio scroll down to the lowest, starting with the lowest numbers. And then I refresh it. And then I go highest, I sort by highest unusual options volume. Wow, another cellular therapeutics company. That's crazy. Elemental Solutions, a healthcare one. Aurora Cannabis, they'll just get us blazed, so we don't even notice this. But if I see a firearm stock on this screen right here, Big Bear AI, that's not a firearm stock. That's me getting distracted. That's an interesting one. Anyway, focus. That's the first thing I'd be like, okay, why did someone, let's put a cap, over 700% unusual options volume, and the move that was discussed in this video was delta neutral. So the put to call ratio was roughly equal, and the delta was biased towards the bulls, slightly. And since Smith & Wesson Brands pays a dividend, I went over the delta calculations in that video and how that could be a move that profits from a vega expansion. So the Greeks, that's called a long gamma in a long vega position. So if I were a police officer or I were a detective and I was seeing long gamma positions taken on Smith & Wesson Brands and POWW and Ruger RGR and AOUT Academy Sports and Outdoors, those are typically different from Raytheon and Boeing and Lockheed Martin that are considered more of the defense contracting stocks. Those are more of the firearm stocks that are more for the American outdoorsmen. And they tend to have big moves and be on these screens after these mass casualty events. So if I was seeing them beforehand and they didn't have earnings, I don't believe Smith & Wesson Brands. Let's just check. Smith & Wesson Brands, I checked. Their earnings was not any time. Yep, that's over a month away. And what could happen? Look at this. The implied volatility jumped up. I probably have exactly what that implied volatility rank was. I can probably get exactly what that implied volatility rank was. But a long vega position, especially these strangles they bought. They bought the 17.5 call and they bought the 12.5 put. And they spent $444,000 on that position. And that's what this video was talking about. That's what this video was talking about, just my most recent video. So that's what this is. This is a 400... That is a different picture. We'll find that momentarily. Oh, here it is. Right here. This is a $444,000 strangle that was bought on Smith & Wesson Brands. And I said in my video last week that this exact position was the reason I made that video, because this was very scary. So if I was in a police department and if I was a detective, this is the type of thing that would have really kind of scared me. This is called a long vega position. So they bought this position in mid-February and it expires in 8 months. So that says that they cannot, that they're not just going to be making money. So let's just look at this chart of SWBI into the context that a $444,000 strangle was bought on it a week ago. Then we had the events on Wednesday across this country, particularly the ones in Kansas City. And let's go look back at this chart of SWBI. All right, it's been coiling sideways for a long time, and I could be wrong about the direction that it's going. But typically, when classical traders see that a stock is moving sideways like this for a bit, they tend to look for it to have a big move. And this is kind of I'm looking for Smith & Wesson brands to hold above 11.96. The widest invalidation is 10.38. And I believe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up in ABC correction. And, the people running the show are expecting above 10.38 and 11.96. It's going to fill out the right side of the space, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. But when they bought this position, even though Smith & Wesson brands doesn't appear to have moved this much this week, the implied volatility, I guess it did kind of move a little bit. Let's see. So if they bought it, this is the open. So it opened with a gap down. So they bought it. That video was taken at the Friday close, and they bought a strangle. So they bought a strangle, and then Smith & Wesson brands opens with a gap down. That means that the vega of those puts is going to increase. The delta of those puts is going to get more powerful to the downside, and that means that they are going to be able to buy more shares of Smith & Wesson brands against those in the money puts. And since Smith & Wesson brands, pays the dividend, that's particularly more effective. But that's not really what they're doing. They're playing vega expansion. They're playing vega expansion, and they're playing, which is a volatility expansion, and they're playing a long gamma position. So they're betting on a large move. Usually in the options market, the strangles are what smart people who have large institutional collateral. I like to do this through exchange traded funds. I never do this directly through my brokerage account. I do it through an ETF in my brokerage account. It's all about selling out of the money options. Smart people, and that's why I look at these strangles and screens, these straddle screens, these strangle screens. I look for signs when unusual options volume is being bought. All right, and so when it is being bought, especially on a less than liquid name like Smith & Wesson brands, and there's not really that, crazy news story. That was just one example of how I think, there's possible ways to kind of decode, what some of this could be happening with. So we had a little bit of, this is where I'm really going to get into parody land, This is just where I'm going to really get into parody land here, because the media and I simply, agree or disagree. And we're going to, there was a Jackie Robinson statue that was stolen. All right, so a Jackie Robinson statue was stolen, and it was stolen on January 25th. And I heard about that, and most of the country heard about that the weekend that Patrick Mahomes was playing. Lamar Jackson, and both of those quarterbacks are African Americans. And so in the police department, when this happened, and this happened in Wichita, Kansas, when this happened, they said the fact that Black History Month was around the corner was a reason for why they thought this was gonna, be why this Jackie Robinson statue was stolen. And so they were looking for a lot of help. From the public. And I knew right away that this was a ritual, because, I can show you exactly how I knew this was a ritual. So I let them know. And by the way, the day that I sent this email, the truck that stole the statue was found. And the next day, the statue ended up being burned to smithereens. So I sent this to an anonymous tip office, and then the anonymous tip office sent this to the Crime Stoppers. Now, what I didn't tell the anonymous tip office was that I could tell in my unprofessional and completely parody entertainment only, completely parody. What I didn't tell the tip lady was that, I could tell that the police officer, the head of the police chief that was saying all this nonsense was part of it. And that was why he was part of this ritual. And that was why, this was all going to be gotten away with. So when she sent that to the Crime Stoppers, I believe that they were able to find the truck. But I also believe that the Crime Stoppers themselves realized, oh crap, someone's onto our ritual. The very next day, the statue was burned. So, and we found the truck, right? So The third and fourth ciphers simply do this with the. So I told her a little bit about basic gematria. The third and fourth ciphers simply do this with the alphabet's order in reverse, such that A, the 26th letter in reverse, has a value of 26 in base cipher 3 and would have a value of 8 in base cipher 4 because 2 plus 6 equals 8. This ritual was done on this date, news breaking, the day the Kansas City Chiefs played the Baltimore Ravens, a game starring two black quarterbacks, because of gematria related to the city of Wichita and the career of Jackie Robinson, as well as Chadwick Boseman, who also starred in the movie Black Panther. Like Robinson, these quarterbacks are breaking a color barrier themselves. First, Jackie Robinson played for the Kansas City Monarchs and is the most famous Brooklyn Dodger. So it was stolen right where it was stolen before Black History Month. It was stolen right near where the Kansas City Monarchs played, and they were a Negro League team, and they were the one that Jackie Robinson was a big star of before he became a Brooklyn Dodger. So I said this ritual was done because it's near Kansas City, where the Monarchs played. Right, Kansas City. King Charles. What happened to King Charles, right? King Charles, and then King Caitlin. We'll get into King Caitlin later. They called her King Caitlin. King Caitlin, she became the new scoring champion, KC. Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Monarchs. Anyway, I told this lady, and I said, hey, this is a ritual. You're being marked up for gematria. She told the Crime Stoppers, boom, immediately the truck found, boom, immediately the statue burned. I think the Crime Stoppers were like, oh crap, we can't do this little ritual anymore, but they raised a lot of money, so good on them. Remember, this is all parody and entertainment. None of this is true. First, Jackie Robinson played for the Kansas City Monarchs and is the most famous Brooklyn Dodger. Let me make sure I said that gematria related to the city of Wichita and the career of Jackie Robinson, as well as Chadwick Boseman, who was also part of this ritual because he also starred in the movie Black Panther before Black History Month. Like Robinson, these quarterbacks are breaking a color barrier themselves. First, Jackie Robinson played for the Kansas City Monarchs and is the most famous Brooklyn Dodger. These two phrases equal 213 and 69 in gematria, which also matches with the phrase Black Panther, who are prominent figures of Black History Month. Black Panther also equals 48 and 213, which matches in two ciphers with your city, Wichita, Kansas. In summary, this is all parody and for entertainment purposes only. None of this is true. I believe that a fraternity hazing ritual was done at a nearby Jesuit or Catholic college. You have a nearby school called blank name blank, which matches in two ciphers with colon cancer, which is how Chadwick Boseman, who played Jackie Robinson, officially died on Jackie Robinson Day and starred in the movie Black Panther. That would be the first university where I look for signs that frat houses may be hiding a statue. Also, Robinson's statue was cut off at his ankles because people like Enos Slaughter would try to clip his ankles with their cleats while he was waiting to catch the ball at first base. So I sent this to her, and then this was the gematria picture I sent. And look at all these. 213. At first, when I sent this, I couldn't tell what 213 was because the gematria community, we always look for Black History Month rituals. We're all over this. They do this every year. So we're always looking for this. I was all over this, and the police department themselves said they thought this had something to do with Black History Month. And so when I was decoding this, I couldn't tell what 213 had to do with anything. I was like, 213 isn't a Black History number, right? We have the big Black History number that they use in these sacrifices, in these rituals the most, is 42. You obviously know why 42 is important in Black History Month and gematria. There are other reasons for that. So I was looking for the number 42. I couldn't find it. But 213, every single thing has 213. The Kansas City Monarchs, the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Black Panther, and Wichita, Kansas, where they all happen. Kansas City Monarch, 213 and 69 is an inverse Gematria anagram with Brooklyn Dodger. So, what a great place to play tribute to the man who played Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, who died of colon cancer in Wichita, Kansas. So, Wichita, Kansas was the perfect place for this ritual. And, with Kansas City playing the Chiefs, I didn't know at the time that the Chiefs were going to be in the Super Bowl. I didn't know they were going to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it would have made a little more sense, this 213 date. I would have been like, oh, crap. The Kansas City Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, and I didn't realize this until I was putting this together, that I already mentioned the fact that the Chiefs had a black quarterback, and they were playing Lamar Jackson when this happened, when the news broke of this happening, was part of it. And so then now this 213 number makes a lot more sense. So first off, Chadwick Boseman officially died of colon cancer. So that's who I think did it. The people who did it, I believe it matches with colon cancer. By the way, just the canary in the coal mine, I could just right off the bat, the place that did it also did it on the date January 25th is the day that an extremely famous actor who has the same name as the university, that did this, also in a ritual that was the plot of one of the actor's favorite movies, cough, Cool Hand Luke, cough, also did this on the actor's birthday, who died recently. And that university matches with how Chadwick Boseman died. Chadwick Boseman played in the Black Panther, and he played Jackie Robinson, who played for the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Kansas City Monarchs. And in case you didn't know this, Chadwick Boseman died on Major League Baseball's Jackie Robinson Day in 2020. And he was originally reported to be dead at age 42, which was Jackie Robinson's number. Anyway, so I was all over that they were marking up, Kansas City. And I was all over the fact that they were betting. And so, by the way, just so you know, that the official story is that this guy did it. The official story is that allegedly Ricky Alderate, 45, he did this. He knew all about this Black history stuff. He knew about 213 and 69 in Gematria. He thought of this really clever ritual with the Kansas City Chiefs, the 213 and 69 Kansas City Monarchs, match with Brooklyn Dodger. They also match with Black Panther. So doing this in Wichita, Kansas, on the birthday of a university, on the birthday of an actor that shares the same name as a major university, that also matches with how that guy died on Jackie Robinson Day, this guy thought of it. Ricky Alderate, right? So anyway, and I was also all over the fact that they spent $444,000 on a strangle, a long Vega, long gamma position. And now because of what happened this week, Vega, that Greek, has risen substantially, implied volatility on Smith & Wesson brands, right? So I kind of forgot about all this for a little bit, and then they just bring up some random-ass story about a 33-year-old, a ritual sacrifice, all this stuff for Tesla. So I posted on February 13th, 213. I'm not this type of guy. You can go search at Puppy Trades false flag. I don't go say, hey, there's going to be a false flag tomorrow every day. Okay, I said, this is the first time ever I've said, hey, I think there's going to be a false flag soon. And I said, our elite programming a false flag with a story of this 33-year-old, it was a 1-year-old story of a 33-year-old Tesla worker, Vaughn O'Hain, who died in Colorado. They just randomly brought it up back on 213 after a fiery wreck in a Model 3. Was it booze or was it self-driving? Gematria suggests neither. So the Washington Post randomly just brings back this story. I noticed FSD Beta 12, double match with the club. Drunk driver, triple match with the club. They're like, was it FSD Beta 12 or was it the drunk driver? It was somewhere in between, if you know what I mean. His name was Vaughn O'Hane, and I noticed right away, oh crap, Vaughn O'Hane is a double match with the term shooting. That's not good. Why is that not good? Well, because they don't just bring up people whose names match with shooting in two ciphers perfectly for no reason. Okay? That is programming people in the minds of the masses. Let's remember one more thing. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl with 25 points. The 49ers had 22. That's a total of 47 points. I'll get to this in the next slide, but right before, on Friday, last Friday, the 25th Amendment was trending. The 25th Amendment was trending because of, we'll get into this, but just real quick, the 25th Amendment was trending because Robert Hur wrote, special counsel Robert Hur wrote something regarding a case involving Joe Biden. You can look this up, and his memory, he stated things about his memory. The left is saying that the right has taken those things out of context, right? PolitiFact will tell you the official fact checker story of why the 25th Amendment was trending last Friday. But the 25th Amendment, if it is invoked, would bring in number 47. And number 47, who would be number 47, has made it very clear that shots, guns, and shots, vaccines, she is not very chill with. She wants to get rid of all the assault weapons. That's a fact. That's a fact you can read in her. I read it in a freaking newspaper this morning. It's a fact. She is campaigning on getting rid of assault weapons. And, she also made it clear that she wants us to be like New Zealand. She wants us to be like Australia. She wants us to be like Canada. And she wants us to be like England when it comes to handling future pandemics, which the World Economic Forum has already told us is going to happen with Disease X, which I've covered with, Code X, Moderna, Opco Health. I've done that. AbbVie. Smoked some of these out of the park. Oh, I also saw, just in the spirit of all this, Johnson & Johnson. I think it was on the straddle screener for the 157.5 strike. Right, Johnson & Johnson was on the straddle screen this week for the 157.5. The 157.5 straddle, Johnson & Johnson, they're buying straddles on that. They're getting ready for the entire healthcare sector. Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, I mean, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're getting ready for J&J to go. I mean, this is the Code X. Code X! Yell Code X. Freaking go tell your neighbors, Code X. They're about to get freaking Kamala Harris in office. Once she does that, it is gun buybacks. It is Disease X. And anyone who does not go along with this 2020 crap again, they're not going to have us wear masks. They're not going to have us check, jab cards outside of Walmart. They already have the solution, fam. It is iris scans. Once it's 25th Amendment, once it's President Harris, they're doing gun buybacks. They're doing Disease X all at once. And they are going to, this time, you are going to verify that you have had all your jabs, that you haven't been to a place where there was an outbreak, right? You weren't at what were they called? A super center? What were those places called? Super somethings. I'm glad I don't remember what they're called. We all used to remember what they were called. A super spreader event. Yeah, were you at a super spreader event? Well, now we're going to know, and Kamala Harris, she's not just going to ask you. She's going to track you. And we've already all agreed to this as part of our phone updates, fam. They have this ready. They have the technology ready. This exists right now. All they have to do is 25th Amendment, Kamala Harris is in. So that's why they're programming 25-47. 25-47. And people ask, why does it matter that sports are scripted? Is it just because of gambling? No, it is to mind control you. Look at this. Nail in the coffin. 132, man. Really? This is the one. I mean, they got crooked cops in these. Kansas City Police Department and the Wichita Police Department has crooked cops. I'll just fucking say it. 132. They coded 132 all over this. What 213 all over this. Look at this. 213. February 13th. This is how February 13th is written. Look at this. This is how February 13th is written internationally. They know about this, fam. This is mind control. They are using these numbers to mind control you. Kansas City Monarchs, Brooklyn Dodger, Black Panther, Wichita, Kansas, 213. They all double match perfectly. And I told this woman, Chadwick Boseman, ritual. She told the Crime Stoppers, boom, they find a truck, they find, some ashes and crap, all this stuff. I mean, fam, people ask like why I care about this. There is no like once we are on iris scans, there is no hell. There is no heaven. There is no God. There is no devil. All right, once we're on iris scans, it is over. Do you not get it? $34 trillion in debt. What happens when a country is $34 trillion in debt and they declare bankruptcy? That means that you have to go get all your asset-backed securities. You know who backs the assets of the United States of America? Go look at your birth certificate. Go look at your social security number. It is you. You are collateral for this debt. So you are going to pay it off by being a node in the blockchain. And your iris scan, your body activity data, they have all these patents. Microsoft has these patents. Apple has this technology. You can get it right now. This is not, you can buy this right now, fam, but pretty soon it's not going to be an option. It's not going to be, the annoying people who just always get the new Apple thing. This is going to be mandated. This is how we're going to end voter fraud. This is how we're going to know who's a proper immigrant. This is how we're going to know, this is literally how we are going to be nodes in the blockchain mining process. This is how we're going to solve AI's computational data problem. This is how we're going to solve fucking everything you think is a problem, because you think it's a problem because they've mind controlled you and put all these rituals and put these traitorous fucks that still tell young children to take deadly vaccines that kill them and have, their new puppets, Caitlin Clark. I mean, man, I'm not a transvestigator. Caitlin Clark, that's the fucking man. This is 25-47, 25th Amendment. Her shots that break the record, boom, happen to go in. They got magnets in these rims, happen to go in, boom. And exactly 25 seconds left on the shot clock, 74, 7-4-25, 7-4-25. The shot that made history. Caitlin Clark, 33, Washington Post, and all the fucking Tesla shills that are, fucking part of this system. You guys don't think these social media creators can be parts of this system. They're all fucking sane. They're telling us this dumb story on 213. Shooting matches Von O'Hain. Tesla Model 3 matches shooting 2. And I'm like, Tesla Model 3 and shooting and Von O'Hain match together, fam. Like, they're doing a psyop. I'm like, they're doing a psyop. Colorado and Germany, that's the murder code. 33, that's the Freemason number, but they sign all this, right? And then boom, the very next day, this is also how they told their elites to buy Tesla. This is how they told their elites Tesla bought them. It's by the blood. You ever read about a ritual sacrifice? You ever read a ritual sacrifice that happens to be the name of a Fortune 500 company? That's an ABC correction ending. I don't need to look at it. Boom. And then right after this, Tesla starts ripping. So we get a story on fucking 213 about how Tesla's murdering people, Tesla's killing people, drunk driver, FSD beta, triple and quadruple match with the club. Von O'Hain matches shooting twice. Tesla Model 3 matches shooting twice, and there was a $444,000 strangle on Smith & Wesson brands. And I said, yo, they're planning a false flag. The next day, false flag is trending. Elon Musk jacks his stake up from 13 to 20, 13-2. 25 amendment for 47, and Travis Kelce wants to mandate shots and take away your guns. Fam, this is fucking here.